Hey everybody, Andrew here from Pacific Coast Auto, taking a look at the results of last week's auction picks. Up first, the Nismo R32 Skyline. This one, the starting price may have been a bit too high for most buyers because it went unsold with no bids. The Sunny truck did sell, and it went for almost double Derek's guess. It sold for $3,000. The S13 Silvia got some attention, but not enough for the seller to let it go. It was only bid up to $2,880. The Subaru WRX met a similar fate to the Daihatsu Wake from last week's picks. The auction was cancelled, so we'll never know what it could have gone for. The Daihatsu Hijet deck fan did sell for barely 20% of Derek's guess. It went for just $290. And Derek was amazingly close with the AMG. It sold for $85,230. He also did pretty well with the Integra Type R. That one sold for just under his guess, going for $6,400. The 1971 Honda 1300 did not get enough attention for the seller to let it go. It was only bid up to $3,870. Finally, the Porsche 550 replica did sell. It went for $15,360. That's going to do it for last week's picks. Now here's Derek with this week's.
Go over auction picks for this week upcoming. Actually, these cars are for tomorrow and for the next day and for the next day, so the next 3 days. It's possible you can bid on these cars if you want to, but you got to be pretty quick in setting up the bidding account because it does take a little bit of time. But let's just jump right into these ones. We have 11 picks from the upcoming days, picked from you guys on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Pacific Coast Auto. Pretty easy to find us there, and then you can set up looking for your own cars if you want. Do be careful though, this takes a lot of time and it's going to distract you from work, and you're going to end up getting fired because you're going to be sitting here looking at what cars are available in the Japanese auctions instead of actually doing your work. Okay, and so just a couple of things. First off, we had a contest 2 weeks ago. The customer Perry Chappell won by picking the closest sales price to the car that he had picked. He was really spot on that one. It was a BRZ, I think, and so he wins a package of goodies, and then we're going to send those out today for you. We're sending them expensive 4-day shipping because we know that you want those quickly, and we care about your feelings and your taste buds. And so look forward to that. You'll get it in 4 or 5 days or so. And another thing, don't forget, everyone who's picking these cars, don't pick the USS auction cars because USS doesn't like us very much and they don't let us show their prices. That's not 100% true. It's not only us that they don't like. They don't like anyone knowing their sales prices. I don't really know why, but we have to listen to their rules or else we can't be in business. Okay, so first one here, the thumbnail pick from Zachary Konopa. Picked this super yellow car. In fact, this version of the car I think only comes in yellow. So this is the S207. Subaru likes to make 400 versions of their car every year with special kit on it, including front bumper, spoiler, exhaust, wheels, that sort of thing. And this one is the S207. They don't come up for auction that often because only 400 of each one were made and they're serialized. Oh, 400? No, they only made 100 of them, according to the seller at least. Usually it's 400 for the S. Maybe it's the legacies like the S402, 403, 404 that they made 400 of. I don't know. I kind of have a feeling like I'm right about that. But the seller, maybe he knows more than I do. If I actually owned this car, then I would look up and make sure that I'm damn right about getting the production numbers right on the auction sheet. So maybe only 400 of these. And look at this, only 3,000 kilometers. It's a 2006. It's a WRX STI S207 Yellow Edition NBR, which stands for Nürburgring Challenge Package. So maybe that's what the only 100 was for the Nürburgring Challenge Package version or the Yellow Edition. I don't know. If you really want to know, then look up the Googles and then figure it out. But the car's up for auction. You can buy it if you want. And original yellow here, let's read what it says. So Yellow Edition, 100 cars. Original Navi comes with digital TV tuner, total collection box, side camera, don't know what that means. Back camera, TBE, what? Don't know. This says Kuwado? Don't know. 1877 CI speakers. Still don't know what that means. Okay. Speed lip, side, rear spoiler. floor mats. Thank goodness this car has floor mats, because, you know, I was right on the edge, but now that I know it has floor mats, I'm ready to buy this one. Trunk mat visor, STI, STI lightweight flywheel. Normal flywheel is available. They're going to send that to you if you buy the car. I have to say, a lightweight flywheel would probably work wonders for this car. I think the STI already has a pretty light one compared to your typical car, but lighter is always better in my opinion for that. Spare key and other stuff. Front bumper underside has scratches, otherwise the body is perfect. Various scratches and dents. Those are going to be minor because they didn't even mark them on the diagram here. And so, I'm getting messages like crazy on my phone. I wonder what that is. Look at this. Navigation screen. Ooh, carbon fiber. Oh, it says Panasonic on top of the carbon fiber, which is quite weird in my opinion. Cool car. Value will probably hold better than the regular Imprezas. You're going to be paying quite a bit more for it up front than you would a typical one. But it's going to hold its value. It's going to be flashy. You're going to be cooler than everyone else. And you can tell everyone that only 100 are made, so I'm cooler than those guys. Get the girlfriends. That's how you get the girlfriends in real life. Buy the expensive stuff. And then brag about it. Okay, so it starts at 5.2 million. I could see this one going for 6 million, but no higher than that. And so that's going to be my guess. 6 million yen on this one. Okay, on to the next one here. And the next one, actually, in fact, the next three, they're all from our customer, Bill Courtney, and he picked 4 of them. And Bill, I usually limit your cars to 1 or 2 picks per week, but you had some pretty awesome cars this week. And so let's take a look at this next one here. Oh, this one comes already presented. And in fact, there's a reason for that. Our mic ran out of batteries, and we didn't notice until it was already on like the 4th or 5th car, and so now we're going to redo this. This is kind of like when you write a term paper for your school, and then your computer crashes, and then you have to rewrite it again, and so that's how I feel at the moment right now. Okay, so we have Bill Courtney's, first pick, and he says the always desirable CRX SiR with the glass roof and some weird aftermarket seats with buttons. The checkerboard floor mats complete the look. So, have a look here. It's a 1991 Honda CRX, which these days is turning into a bit of a collector's car. And it's always fun when cars do this. Except for the price going up. That's not the fun part. But it's always fun to see a car that was never really a collector's car. It was a cheap car that high school students would buy, tear around in, not treat it very well. The car would degrade, and even though it was a popular car when it was sold new, the amount of survivors has gone down to the point where the price has gone up. We see that with the 240 and the AE86 and the CRX and several other Japanese sports cars from the time. Funny thing, the RX-7s haven't really done that yet. They haven't gone really expensive like these other cars have. And a little special note here, Mugen wheels are a pretty rare option. They look to be in really good condition. By option, I mean something that you can put on the car. They weren't actually sold like this from the factory. This would be considered aftermarket. And I think they're a 14-inch wheel, and love the design. And people who like Hondas generally can spot the Mugen wheels. This gives you the brownie points with them. And so very cool to have the heat sink wheels on there. Okay, so onto the auction sheet. Ooh, what's this? I can't read what it says up there. Okay. 1991 CRX SiR, auction grade 3.5, interior and exterior both B. 156,546 kilometers. Seems a little bit on the high side, but for this car, it's not that high. A lot of these CRXs are over 200,000 very easily. The engine is pretty reliable. It's the 1600cc, kind of the engine that made the VTEC the powerhouse that it is today in terms of popular culture. Everybody knows about the VTEC. This was the engine that really proved Honda had what it takes to make a high-performance engine. 160 horsepower out of a 1.6, and very cool. I think the first car that came out in was an Integra, but I could be wrong. It might be the Civic and the CRX. But the CRX probably is the coolest out of all because latest car with that engine. Okay, so aftermarket air filter, Mugen wheels, aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket steering wheel, glass top, only available for the JDM model, and this is a 4-seater version. Also, I believe only available for the JDM, but I don't know. I know the US and the Canadian ones were only strictly 2-seaters. And maybe that has to do with size of legs. Maybe it's laughable to have seats in the back that only have like 3 millimeters of space for the legs to go in. Nobody has legs made out of paper. Okay, it says aircon doesn't work, a belt is missing, so we don't know why the belt is missing, but it is. AC might work if you just replace that belt, or it might not. You kind of have to bid on the car not knowing that. Oil leak, suspension modified, underside surface rust, power seat function doesn't work, and let's have a look at that because it does look really cool. They look like the seats out of old AMG Mercedes with the buttons on the side. I think Recaro makes those. Okay, front bumper underside scratched, headlights are cloudy, aftermarket shift knob, wheels, door mirrors, various scratches and dents, and the body looks pretty clean for the age. No rust on it, no huge problems. The biggest problem is a U2 dent. It'll probably be half the size of a tennis ball, maybe. Okay, and so price for this one would probably be a little bit higher were it not for a color that's less desirable. If it were a black or a white or a silver, I think the price would be higher. But this wine red is, it seems to be the same for every kind of car. The wine red will keep the price down. But I still think this one's going to sell for $1.2 million. Okay, on to Bill Courtney's next one here. This is also ready for us to go. So this is a Nissan Be-1 with only 18,025 kilometers on it. Bill Courtney says low mileage Be-1, 18,000 kilometers, and it's in a fairly uncommon color from what I've seen. But then again, it's a fairly uncommon car from what I've seen as well. It's 1987, R grade, interior B, exterior C, and 5-speed manual. And so a car like this is probably a good one to buy if you're going to be keeping it in a collection or keeping it for a long time, or second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th car. If it's your only car, you're paying a lot for low mileage there that's not going to stay low. And so there is that to think about. Okay, it's original blue, original 5-speed, purchase from user, comes with warranty papers and owner's manual, and it says that the seats have been changed to Nissan March seats. They do look like sporty seats, but we don't have a very good picture of the seat completely. But they look like they maybe make a sporty version of the March. I don't know. Steering wheel looks pretty weird and very 80s, trying to look classic dashboard. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan, but it is definitely iconic. And look, crank windows. Cool. Okay, core support, front cross member, right front inner panel have marks from deformation or denting. That would be why it's an R grade. I don't think that that's a very big accident damage, so that wouldn't worry me for this car. Seat saggy and ripped, AC doesn't work. Underside surface rust and painted. Painted underside is a little bit scary, especially since the engine room has corrosion in it. And engine room corrosion usually would be an immediate no for me. I would say pass on that car. But with something as uncommon as this, with as low mileage as this, it would be worth it to yank that engine out and repair it. Or maybe you can repair it without yanking the engine out. I think it would still be worth it, especially depending on the price that you can get this car for, which I don't know. A car this rare, really hard to tell how much it's going to sell for. So engine oil leak as well, probably not leaking that much, and paint peeling on the front fender, which is a little bit weird because we can't see it in the picture here, but we have to believe that that is the case. Size-wise, they're exactly the same size as the Nissan March. I think that they use bespoke parts. I think that even the doors are not Nissan March doors, but I could be wrong about that. It would be interesting to know. And then the roof, I think, is different. Windshield is different. Front. Runs in the same chassis as the Nissan Powell, and so carbureted 1-liter engine. Oh, also it had some repairs done to it. I didn't read that. So the AC in 2012, the AC, carburetor, fuel pump, vacuum hoses, timing belt, and other parts were replaced. Total invoice for that was $279,409 yen. And as far as price goes for this one, like I said, I'm going to be wrong on this, but price is... I could see this going for $1,000,000 yen. Yes, that's what I'm going to go pick. Okay, Bill Courtney's third out of fourth picks, and he says, thought it might be a taxi, but judging from the extra brake pedal on the passenger side, I'd say the driver's ed car. Diesel, stick shift. How cool is that? They teach you stick shift. And it's true, in Japan you need to get a different license if you want to drive a stick shift car, which I think is pretty crazy, because I think it's easier to drive a stick shift car than it is an automatic, because with an automatic, your brain just isn't engaged in driving to the same way that a stick shift is. And once you start driving a stick shift, it's not annoying to do it. Your brain automatically does all the shifting for you. You don't even have to think about it. And so I think that everyone should know how to drive a manual, and I think more cars should come as manuals. Even if it's flappy paddles, I've never really enjoyed driving a manual with flappy paddles. There's something about just getting used to using your left or your right hand to move the stick shift. That being said, we have marijuana leaf on the floor here. I don't know why, but you know how the green trees are common in America for the air fresheners? Here in Japan, it's a marijuana leaf. And I don't think that most of the people who buy those know what that is, because they're very strict about drugs here in Japan. Okay, so this is a Toyota Crown Comfort, 1997. James May did a really awesome piece on these in a Top Gear that was probably about 10 years ago now, and maybe 8 years. And he said, this is the best car ever made because they haven't updated the styling. You can only buy it for taxis and for fleet vehicles. You can't buy it for regular cars. But they use the old version of the Crown with, I guess, more modern pieces in it for the engine and such. But this one's a diesel 2L engine. That's the same as in the Hilux pickup. It doesn't say whether it's a turbo version or a non-turbo. Most of them are turbo, so I'm going to guess that's what it is, but don't know for sure. And then 5-speed manual. And of course, the driver's ed brake pedal for when your driver instructor is like, holy smokes, you're going to need to slow down immediately. And could probably be pretty dangerous if you had passengers in this car, especially if you're having a fight with one of your passengers and they think that they're right and there's some sort of SJW Nazi. I don't know, does that make sense? SJW Nazi? I don't know. I guess you could be both. I guess the fringes on both sides kind of meet in the center somewhere. Anyways, brake pedal could be pretty dangerous. If it were my car, I don't know. I think it would be kind of fun to have it, but also really dangerous, and so you'd have to have a talking to anyone who drives the car with you. Okay, mileage is reasonable considering it was used for a driver's training car, 92,897 kilometers on there. And the 5-speed with the diesel in a regular car is a pretty uncommon combination, so one could buy this car, deal with the weird decals or take them off, and it'd be pretty cool. It's a reliable engine. It's reasonably efficient because it's a diesel. Tells you how fast you're going right in the center. That's funny. Okay, so battery is dead. What is this? Some parts of the interior liner have been removed because company sign on it. Body scratches and dents and not shiny. And then U3 dents on here. Those are for the people who didn't pass the test. And cracked headlight. A3 on the front bumper, and the front bumper is coming off. You can see it's been taped back on. Very nice. Okay, not really much else to say about that one, but price? You have a limited amount of people who are willing to buy a car like this, and so I think it's only going to sell for 180,000 yen. And oh, Bill also said he found 4 of these, all sold by the same company, and so I guess they upgraded their fleet and they sold all of them at the same time. So if you want to buy 4 of these, you can have a Top Gear challenge with your friends where the driver and somebody from the other team are together, and then you have to do a race. I think that would be really fun. Okay, on to the next one. We have, somebody who's not Bill Courtney, is Zachary Canopa, same person who picked the first one. And you found something pretty weird. He says Toyota Century, and then Bill Courtney pipes in and he says, so I guess they sell Mary Kay in Japan too. I don't know if they do. Andrew, do you know?
No idea.
Andrew doesn't know. He doesn't buy Mary Kay products, so he doesn't know. I had a friend in high school whose mom was a Mary Kay executive, and I think that she was pretty successful at it. For those who are not in the US or in countries that have Mary Kay, it's a cosmetics kind of multi-level marketing company, is it not?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. I don't really know the details of it, but you sell cosmetics and girly products and stuff, and then you can get, if you sell over a certain amount, they give you a pink Cadillac. And so that's where the joke of the Mary Kay comes in. So the Century is Toyota's top-of-the-line car. This one here is a 2005. This one comes with a 5-liter V12 engine in it and 211 420 kilometers. So usually these cars have like 10,000 kilometers on it because they're very rarely driven by those people who own them. They're kind of a car that is chauffeuring people around, and until now, I guess, I always thought that the engine, a V12, might be one that you don't want to put too much mileage on because V12s can be expensive to repair, and it's only ever sold in this car, and Toyota's only V12, and so it might be expensive to maintain. But if somebody makes it up to 211,420 kilometers in one, it is possible. It sounds like it's probably going to be a pretty reliable engine, and I would say, judging by the 280 horsepower that it has, it's probably tuned more for reliability and for torque than it is for outright performance. So, good to know. Condition looks pretty bad on this. Auction grade 3.5, interior B, exterior B. Color change to pink. Obviously, they didn't come in this color originally. They're all either black or dark green or dark blue from what I've seen. Very, I guess, colors that are not flashy, colors that help you blend in. You want to kind of fly below the radar, and that's why the car looks like it's 1970s styling updated to the 2000s slightly. Okay, so purchase from user, original Navi, comes with reverse camera. You saw that little picture there inside the badge. Okay, HID headlights, CD changer, blah, 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 blah. Windshield cracked. Hood damper doesn't work, battery needs to be replaced, steering wheel peeling, and then pretty terrible looking condition. Lots of dents on the roof here, lots of dents on this side, and then a big scratch on the hood. And hood scratches are something that bother me more than scratches almost anywhere else in the car. A hood scratch is just, when you look at a car at the beginning, you usually look at it from this angle, and it's so easy to see the scratches on the hood, and it's like, somebody dropped something on my car, and then you need to take off the hood, repaint it, blah, blah, blah. So it's not going to sell for a lot. There isn't a big market for pink Centuries here in Japan. Starting price is nothing. I mean, that engine is worth something. Top Secret put one in a Supra, and it was pretty killer. Google that if you have some time. And so it will have some value because of that, but that high of mileage, I'm not sure if that engine is even worth that much anymore. So it's probably going to be broken down for parts, and people will sell the interior parts and then make the money up that way. That's my guess. But I think that someone will be willing to buy this one for parts for 250,000 yen. Okay, on to the next one. Brandon Decker. Same last name as Andrew, actually, and so he gets extra points for that. It's an S13 Silvia, and we get a lot of people asking for these types of cars for our customers in the USA. We do sell a good number of ones that look something like this, fairly modified for drift, usually pretty bad condition, because people who want their car for drifting, they buy that car for a specific purpose, and then anything that's outside of that purpose is frivolous for them. So if you want to go racing, it doesn't matter how beautiful the car looks, and it doesn't matter how nice the interior is. And so for people who have a high bill for tires, they usually don't take care of the outside as well. This one looks like it's kind of not that type of car. The interior looks really good. The condition overall for this type of vehicle is above average, and so I think it was worth sending into the video for this week. A lot of notes on here. These are the sheets that keep me up at night. Last night I was up until 11:30 translating sheets because ones like this just take forever to translate. Okay, so let's have a look. It's a 1991 Silvia Case. That makes it a turbo. It has an SR20 engine in it. Brandon Decker says, high mileage drift car. What could possibly go wrong with a question mark? I would say probably not much. And they seem to be fairly reliable cars. And aftermarket support is there. So if something breaks, you always have a lot of options with something like this. So I wouldn't be afraid to buy this one. And 165/817 is not necessarily really high mileage. Front mount intercooler, 9-point roll cage, aftermarket exhaust manifold, aftermarket stabilizer bar, aftermarket radiator, aftermarket shift knob. I remember translating this one. I did it this morning, and I was so tired of writing the word aftermarket over and over again in my translation. Aftermarket tension rods, aftermarket adjustable suspension, aftermarket aero parts, front, side, and rear, aftermarket hood, aftermarket LSD, aftermarket rear 3-point. I don't know what they mean by this, rear 3-point. Maybe somebody else smarter than me knows about that. Aftermarket gauges times 4, so extra gauges. You can probably see those in the picture. 1, 2, 3, 4. And aftermarket exhaust. Computer has been modified, causing this vehicle to be registered as a modified car. Aftermarket navigation. Aftermarket steering wheel, aftermarket GT wing, aftermarket driver's full bucket seat, and then other modifications. So see for yourself in person for the details. Okay, front cross member has been replaced, core support has been replaced, rear seat, carpet, and other interior parts have been removed. The exterior has stickers on it in various places. Aftermarket air filter. Front side member dented and deformed. Front inner panel dented and one part has been cut to modify. Usually that's done to fit the front mount intercooler in it. Seats have covers on them. Interesting. Or a seat has a cover. I guess the rear seats have been removed. It's only a 2-seater now. Dashboard cracked. Pretty common on this dashboard, unfortunately. And aero parts cracked. Interior liner deformation. Wheel scratch, door mirror scratch, various scratches and dents. Front bumper cracked and A4 on it, but otherwise the body's pretty near perfect. Oh, rear bumper has a crack on it too. Cracked bumpers is kind of a cool thing on a drift car. Especially, you can tell everyone that those cracks happen in Japan, and so they're authentic JDM drift cracks. My car was in Japan, drifting, and got a cracked bumper. Take that, and then don't repair it. It's like those people who shake hands with a celebrity and say they're never going to wash their hands. I'm never going to fix this bumper. It's JDM tight. Okay, so that being said, this one is importable to the USA next March. In fact, next February, because it was made 1 month before it was sold. And so it's not importable yet, but it will be soon. So we're going to see an increase in the price over the other Silvias, but not to the extent of ones that are immediately importable, if that makes sense. And so I'm going to guess 900,000 yen on this one. 900,000. And those look like Nismo wheels to me. Delicious. Oh, and if you buy this car and you want it shipped, you'll probably either have to get that front bumper taken off, adjust the suspension up, or ship it on a bolster, which ends up costing like extra $500 or so. So expect extra costs if you're looking at really low vehicles like this. Whew. Okay, on to the next one. Subaru Forester. This one, I'm going to go a little bit quicker because there's not so much to talk about here. I think, are these CE28 wheels by Volk Racing? That's cool. They're a good looking wheel for this car. So the Forester got the real STI in this generation. It had the STI for the previous generation and the previous generation before that, but it wasn't a big step up from the regular versions, I think. I guess the one before this had a real STI. So the SF5 version of the Forester, which is the first generation, had an STI, but it had the same amount of power. It was only available with automatic transmission for the first few years, and it was kind of sucky. The next generation got a real STI that had more power than the original ones, but it turned out to be the same power as the previous generation, which is kind of dumb. This one uses a 2.5-liter EJ25 engine, and then I believe these ones are the full 280 horsepower. And so the car, I think these ones are kind of good looking. The headlights look a little bit sleepy, but it's kind of funny because you have a pretty fast car, pretty good handling car, the 4-wheel drive. It is a sports car, but it's SUV size. You can beat somebody, and then you can turn your car toward them and look at them with the same eyes as these headlights and go, that's right, You just got spanked by somebody in a Forester. STI. Ha ha ha. Okay, so 645 kilometers is pretty low. 6-speed manual with the close ratio gearbox is going to give you some vroom on there. This is a late model version of it, so Kobe edition. Aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket wheels, aftermarket aero, or original aero parts, pardon me. Keyless entry, comes with some history papers. The body looks super clean. Aftermarket audio, various scratches and dents on it. And pretty normal looking in there, except the manual transmission in Forester is a big smile producer. Starts at 680. I don't even know how much these go for. I haven't checked, but considering what they are and what the market is for them, I would say you're looking at about 950,000 yen for one of these with this much mileage, and that's low mileage, so that's going to keep the price up. You can probably get them for a good chunk less than that, but this one is ideal if you want one of the best ones out there. And the white color with the bronze wheels is a nice look for it too. Unfortunately, no pink badge. It's kind of weird that they have the regular blue badge on there, but they do have the pink STI logo here. Okay, thank you Jose Oval for sending that one in, and sorry for not mentioning your name at the beginning there. On to the next one here from Redneck Hunter. Redneck Hunter says, what can you tell me about this little car? It's a City CRI. That's what I can tell you about it. And then Bill Courtney says, prepped for racing? Question mark. So, Honda City is basically a Honda Today K car with a 1.2 liter engine in it instead of the regular 660cc engine. And the funny part is they make a version of the Today with the turbocharged 660 engine that puts out 64 horsepower. This one here is the sports version of the City. So the regular City in this generation I think puts out 87 horsepower or 85, and then this one puts out 100 horsepower. And it's only 720 kilograms, and so 100 horsepower and 720 kilograms is going to be nice and peppy. It's not going to be fast by any means, but it's going to be nice and peppy and fun to drive. Unfortunately, it's not a turbocharged engine, so getting more power out of that is a little bit of a struggle, I would say. Okay, we have a lot of things to talk about here. I'm not going to get into the details of this one, but here it says aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket suspension, aftermarket steering wheel, aftermarket wheels, aluminum wheels, and I think they suit the car really well. I like the smaller size classic style wheels with some lip in there on some nice meaty tires. Looks good. Full bucket seat for the driver, aftermarket air filter, extra gauges, front and rear tower bars. And so yeah, probably used for racing. In Japan, it's pretty common for low-power cars to be race cars here because they're just way cheaper to run, and you can still have a lot of fun racing a not-so-fast car. If you buy like a Porsche 911 or a Corvette, in order to get a full 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 out of that car, you have to be a really good driver. But you can be a bad driver and have way more fun in a slower car, and it will cost you way less for tires, for engine maintenance, or for just the overall car. And so it makes a lot of sense to people who are not out there to prove how cool they are. They're racing for the fun and excitement solely for themselves. And I think that I fall into that category much more than the other. Okay, so it says the front needs to be replaced. I don't know what needs to be replaced. Maybe the grille. Some rust, S1, and rust S1 here. Cracked windshield, C1 here, that's corrosion, S1 here. Big dent, big dent. Seems to be pretty bad. Interior's been stripped in some places. Yeah, not worth a lot, but a cheap car that you can get into racing with if you really wanted to. And so, starting price 30,000 yen. I think we're going to see this one top out at about 100,000 yen for the sales price on it. On to the next one. This is Zay Wang, and he says, school bus for Suzuka kindergarten. And he says he looked it up online and found this kindergarten is only 4 miles from Suzuka Circuit. Well, for people in the real world, that's probably 6 kilometers away from Suzuka Circuit. And so that would be really awesome to send your kids to this school. You can say, my kid goes to a school that is only 4 miles away from a famous F1 track. I don't think it's F1 track after this year, though. I think that they're not doing that anymore. Don't know. So, typical Japanese kindergarten bus. Japanese kindergarten bus seats. Perfect for Japanese kids to be sitting in. I wonder if these are vomit guards. Probably is. Probably not in the most sanitary conditions because they wouldn't have been sterilized before the cars sold. So if you do buy this and you want to import it into your country to have a JDM type bus with lots of little seats, then yeah, please spray the Mr. Clean everywhere on the interior, or just dip it in a vat of Mr. Clean if you can find one that big. Look at these little seats right up the front. Usually there's a big seat here for the teacher, like that, or yeah, usually there's a oh, here's the teacher's seat. It's fold down style. Dinosaur. Rawr, you learn about dinosaurs in our school. And whatever this is that an alien? I don't know. It looks like bacteria. Warning, inside this vehicle is full of kid bacteria that has probably sat there for several weeks unattended, just growing. Buy this bus. Buy a bus from us. It's full of bacteria. Okay, 5-liter diesel engine, 6-speed, manual transmission. Bus condition looks to be pretty good. Paint cracked in the back corner. Fender has been replaced. Left front fender. What's a bus fender? This? I guess so. Okay, so there it is. Price, man, I have no idea. Starting price, 180,000 yen. 550. What? This is causing me to have a brain aneurysm right now. 2005 is kind of old. 550,000 yen, but not confident at all on that. All right, Bill Courtney's pick here. This one was close to being the thumbnail, but I don't know if people really want to click on a video with a clown-like car on the front. It is cool. It's a 1.5-seater car, which is really weird. Oh wait, the automatic transmission ones are 1.5 seaters. The manual has the stick shift here where the other seat would go. This is a Daihatsu Midget. This one has a bit of a conversation, so I'll quickly read this. Bill Courtney says, "Sean, do you have a Pacific Coast Auto account set up for bidding?" Ha 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 ha. And he puts some smiley faces of people rolling on the ground laughing. And then Raymond Yu is the other person who sent this one in. He sent it in at almost the exact same time. The two posts are back to back. And he says, "Daihatsu Midget, too cute not to pick, lol." And then he says, "Darn, you got it a few seconds ahead of me, Bill." And he says, "Yes, it was close. My internet connection was crappy today." And then Raymond says, "I'm about to get into a work meeting." Uh-oh, Ray. Working and checking out the auctions at the same time. And then Sean says, "Ew, not my style, that's for sure." And then Bill says, "It's got a coil over cup holder too." I think he's referring to this. Kind of a Japanese thing. I really don't like them though. I think they're really ugly. It must be a Japanese thing. And then Raymond says, "It's Derek's style for sure." I don't know if he's referring to the cup holder or if he's referring to the car as my style. I don't really know if I have a style of cars. I can find something I like about pretty much every car. So, I'm not one of those guys that's going to say, "Ew, that car is so disgusting and stupid, so you're a loser for owning it." I think that's really dumb to treat people that way. So, 660cc, it's a K car, it's a Midget 2. The original Midget was in the Totoro movie, if you know that movie. Pretty iconic car here in Japan. Auction grade 3.5 and interior C, 48,920 kilometers. 4-speed manual, comes with AC, but it's ghetto AC. It's evaporative cooling. It doesn't actually use like an R12 or an R134 coolant in it. Windshield rock chip. Interior dirty and wear. Exterior has some parts changed color, and so it's a two-tone car, but they don't know which parts. I think it was like an original white, and then they changed some of it pink. Don't really know. Underside surface rust, wheels scratched. Aftermarket bumper with a question mark. I would say yes for that. Kind of a neat little kit. I bet you it comes with all 3 of these pieces. And I like the guy whose decision it was to paint these yellow. He's like, "You know what? Just the spare tire and the wiper was not enough. We need something else yellow." And then picked these. Because it would have taken time to take those off and paint them. Yes, that's what I need. Yellow struts on the back of the window. Okay, and headliner comes down a little bit. Right front inner panel has Magari. I don't know what that means. Something I don't know. The body looks pretty good, but you'd be very embarrassed to drive something like this around. If it were mine, like I think that these are cool cars. I don't really necessarily want one. They're not really that practical. You can put stuff in the back here, but with only one seater, you're really limiting your options. Might as well get a K-Truck. So the people who buy these really do it for the style over anything, and maybe because they don't want to tell their friends that they can have a lift somewhere. But yeah, if it were mine, it would get repainted, because like I don't mind pink on cars, but I don't think that this paint job is like, why paint half of the A-pillar? Why paint this yellow? Like, are you trying to make your car look like Pennywise? I got that on my mind actually, because I didn't watch the movie. It's not out here in Japan yet, but that was one of my favorite movies as a youngster, was the direct-to-TV version. And so I watched all the reviews on the new version of it. Looks like a movie I want to watch, even though I don't like horror movies. Okay, so back on topic here, we have price for this one. 280,000 yen is going to be my price. And we're on to the last one here. We're already in almost 40 minutes. Yikes! And we got a sports car. We have an Evo 5. This one's sent in by Raymond Yu. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5G SR 4-wheel drive. Grade 4 clean example. Okay. 84,962 kilometers, and we're getting long for the video here, and so I'm going to go over this one super quickly. It has a couple of aftermarket things like suspension, steering wheel, some rally art parts on it. The mileage is authentic. It's a 1998, and it comes with the EJ, this is not a Subaru, 4G63 engine from the Lancer Evolution. Pretty awesome car. This car is as fast as I would ever want my own personal car to be. A lot of people love super fast cars. It's just not for me. I want cars to be exactly what I want them to be, and I don't see why you would need something faster than this, is my opinion. It's an auction grade 4, interior B. Scary fast to drive them, especially on the streets. If it were a race car, I could see more power, but for a street car, especially in Japan, roads are tight here. You don't get to really floor it in cars very much, and here you can floor it to the end of second gear and you're almost twice the speed limit in most areas. Oil leak, pretty common on the engine on these. Taillights have water in them, that's weird. Okay, price starts at 580. I can see this one being such a nice clean example, going for about 1.1 million, but you can get these for anywhere between like 400,000 to 1.5. 1.8 sometimes. This would probably be 1.1. The prices go like this. They go up slowly, up slowly, up slowly, and then when they get to really low mileage, then they go up really quickly right at the end. That's for most cars, actually, here in Japan. Mileage plays a big part in the price or the value of the cars. Okay, so that's going to be it. I'm going to see you guys again next week. Thank you for watching, and if you share this video, you're going to give me a double smile. A double smile is like you smile and then you stop and then you smile again. So thank you a lot for watching, everybody, and see you next week.